Mr. Speaker, since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen an unprecedented rise in gun violence across the entire country. While most conversations about gun violence are quickly overwhelmed by extremist rhetoric, one of the strategies to reduce gun violence that has widespread support is to make sure that law enforcement has the resources needed to investigate and clear cases that get criminals and guns off the streets. That's why I'm proud to support an important piece of legislation introduced by former police chief and our colleague in Congress, Representative Val Demings. The Victim Act targets resources to the things we know can help reduce gun violence. Grants would support the hiring, training, and retention of detectives and victim services personnel. These grants will also fund training, equipment, and personnel needed to process and analyze evidence in gun crimes. In Philadelphia, our police department would like to use such funding to support a new unit dedicated to investigating non-fatal shootings. One of the reasons I came to Congress was to fight for an end to gun violence, to protect our children, our families, and our communities. In our country today, gun violence is hitting ever closer to home. Several of my employees have lost relatives to gun violence. In November, a constituent was killed in a carjacking near his college campus. A month later, I became the victim of carjacking, though I'm extremely lucky that no one was injured in my case. Then just last week, I found myself embracing a mother devastated by the death of her daughter after she was struck by gunfire at a playground. This has to stop. There is no one solution. But as a legislator, I want to pass laws to tackle the underlying issues driving this epidemic of violence, as well as providing the means to end it. That means common sense, gun safety reforms, resources for law enforcement, support for mental health services, and investments in education and employment opportunities for all Americans. The Victim Act can be an important part of this effort, and I hope we'll soon be able to bring it to the floor for a vote. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.